Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to Bariatrics and Beyond, the podcast where we talk about life before, during, and beyond bariatric surgery. So grab yourself a healthy snack and a drink because we have a very special guest in the studio today. You guys may have seen her floating around TikTok, on Instagram. We have Shenelle from the Bariatric Rewrite.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Hello. So can you tell us, you have a really cool story, right? So introduce yourself and tell us your story, how you become to have weight loss surgery and, how'd you get to where you are today?
Absolutely. So weight loss surgery was never in my deck of cards by any means. My story, really kind of goes back prior to the surgery or the introduction to the surgery, as I'm a recovering alcoholic and drug addict and, very open about that. And that was something I had been dealing with, for decades. I had my first drink when I was 16. It didn't really take off until like my mid-20s, and that's also where my weight started to become a problem. I was heavier in high school. I dieted all the time. We had, growing up, all those pills that are now banned, that were very legal in high school. You could just order it on a magazine and it was delivered. Nobody questioned it. I did all those things, but my drinking obviously played a huge role in my weight gain and then my eating habits. I moved to Vegas in 2011 for my job at the time. And, I got introduced to cocaine and I did not get the cocaine diet. I was the female Chris Farley.
Really?
I just kept putting on weight.
How does that happen? I always thought it's well,
you would think,
yeah,
right? It did not work that way for me. No, I got up to, my heaviest by 2016 to 2017 after my son was born. I was about 300 pounds at that point. And you would think I would have cleaned up my act when I had my kid. I really kind of had these intentions. I got sober during my pregnancy, was totally cool with that. Thought, okay, I'm going to be a mom. This is kind of a wild, new, unexpected ride for me, but I've got this. And I had my son. I moved back to Vegas because we were in San Diego at the time, just for a year. I moved back here and I fell right back into the same crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And it just snowballed. I thought, you know what, I can
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. I thought I can just be that woman who can have a couple of glasses of wine and go home by the end of the night. And it just didn't. I would be in the bar for 3 straight days doing all sorts of bullshit. And that, complicated my life. My son's father and I split. I got into another relationship. And that is kind of where the interesting part of bariatric surgery started to arrive. There's that butterfly effect. If this thing didn't happen, then this thing wouldn't happen and so forth, And I got into a relationship with somebody who didn't know was married.
Oh,
and I ended up getting pregnant. And I was at the bottom of my drinking. I mean, I was drinking every day. And I did not, my house was in foreclosure. I had lost my business. Yeah. One of my 2 cars had been repossessed. And then I found I was pregnant. And this fellow was just you know what? If you decide to terminate this pregnancy, then I will take care of the foreclosure and you won't lose your house. And I also didn't want to get sober. I had no desire. Right. I no desire at all. I agreed. Long story short, totally got screwed over on that arrangement and ended up having an abortion that I immensely regret. And I came home and I caught myself in the mirror that day. And I said, I'm really disappointed in myself. And I can't believe you did this, and had a lot of really horrible things to say to myself. So as far as I was concerned, I didn't deserve to have another, day on this planet. And I just thought I would just drink myself to death.
Get out.
And I did it for 365 days. And the wheels were coming off the car, but the car kept going, It
was a Toyota.
And then it was December 25th of 2020. And, we also had COVID going on and all these fun things. And I went out drinking. I ghosted my kid for Christmas. And finally, when I got home, around the 27th, I just caught myself in the mirror again. And I was like, you are the biggest problem, dude. It is nobody else. I've been blaming everyone, down to my parents, to the last guy, to the friend, to everything. It's me.
Yeah.
I am the problem. And I need to quit drinking. And I said I was going to quit drinking for 1 day or for 1 year. And I went on social media and I said, made this big public service announcement, do not serve me in a bar. Okay? I'm a mess. And I got some shit to work out. And I'm glad I did that because I stumbled into a bar 2 weeks later. And this woman was like, Shenelle, I'm not going to serve you.
Oh my God. God
You
bless
know?
her.
And I was like, fuck you.
I was like, God bless her. You're like, F you.
But it was good that it happened that way. And so I
Yeah.
was sober. I was 365. It went 365 days of sobriety. But at month 7, I finally walked into a doctor's office. Because I had one of those doctor's appointments years earlier where they're like, your weight's not great and your liver does not look great. And how often do you drink and what's your diet look like? And I just shrugged the whole thing off. Whatever, it's not a big deal. And I never went back. So I make this doctor's appointment and I'm going to face the music on my liver, right? Am I screwed or not screwed? And so I go in. And the woman says to me, because we start talking, I'm like, I've been sober for 7 months by myself. I haven't gone into a 12-step program. I've just been doing it by myself. And she said, if you've been able to be sober for 7 months on your own, you might be good at this. And she handed me a referral for weight loss surgery. Anyhow, I told her to fuck off because I wasn't there because I didn't want to deal with that yet, because in my world, I had the materialistic things that I thought meant I was in good health. Like I had a decent looking boyfriend and a job. And like I was also sober. So I was like, oh, I'm doing all of these big things. And I called a friend and I ran this, I was like, can you believe that this person I don't know said this to me? And she was like, yeah. Like, maybe you should think about it. And, I did think about it. And I had a 6-month program here in Las Vegas. I had to go to all those classes. So it wasn't just a quick one and done, sign and go. I had to go through a process. So why not entertain that process? Yeah. And then while I was in the moment of entertaining that process is also when I went to Alcoholics Anonymous. I walked into my first AA meeting with 365 days sober of not drinking. And I didn't know the rules of AA. I didn't know anything about the program. I didn't know that when I raised my hand to say, been 1 year, that I was going to get a little chip. And they were going to ask me how I've been sober for a year. And I didn't have an answer.
Yeah.
And I just said, I'm just here to get a couple of friends and like hang out. And we'll see what happens, And this woman came up to me afterwards and she asked me what it's been like to be sober for my own misery for the last year. And I thought, what a bitch. Like all these people telling me these things
to get me.
But she said it and it hit me like she's so right. And she ended up being my first sponsor in the program. We sat down and, I learned the rules of AA real quickly. Like apparently you can't do cocaine in AA. And I had like been maybe 5 or 6 months sober off coke at the time. So I had to give back my 1 year chip. And kind of start over from there. But, that's...
Hi, my name's Shenelle. I'm a liar. Yeah.
I didn't know the rules. It's like, we got the 12 steps, but none of them said no cocaine. Okay.
Yeah, they need to be a bit more black and white.
Yeah. So then I started, getting really serious about having weight loss surgery. And I'm also going through the steps of the program at the same time and analyzing all different angles of my life, And my sponsor at the time had surgery and she had regained all the weight back. And it really scared me because I was so impressed by her sobriety story, where she came from. And she came from depths of hell that I had not visited. And if she got her life together, had the nice car and the nice husband and the nice house, then like I could put it together. But when she said that she failed at the surgery, I thought, oh my God, if she couldn't, how am I going to be able to do this? But when I finally got the balls to like tell her I was having surgery, because I'm like some people, we get really on the fence about wanting to share it because like, we're also informing people we're fat, which most of us are in blinder mode. So that's not even something we want to talk about, And so I told her I was having it. And that's when she, opened up to me about how she had it and gained it back and stuff like that. And I just, listened to her advice and heeded all of her information in my sobriety as far as being a sober woman. I started having to question, like, do I know who I am healthy? Because like I didn't know who I was sober because I've been drinking since I was 16. And usually from a recovery standpoint, like you turn off emotionally around the time you pick up the addiction. But when I start reviewing the way that I eat, those behaviors came from my earliest memories, So I'm like, I shut off at the age of like 5, when it comes to the way that I was consuming food and using it for entertainment. And using it for boredom and using it for fun, emotions, all, sadness, anger, all of the things like that came back from a really long time ago. So it's one thing not to know who I am as a sober woman, paying bills and taking care of my kid, but like, who am I healthy? Because I've only dieted. I've done the pills. I've done all the weird shit. I've never just lived as like a person who had their shit together like this. Yeah. And I had to figure that out. And thus that's like ultimately what brought on the rewrite.
Yeah.
You know? So that's born like the rewrite. Like I needed to like rewrite my life, you know? And I didn't think of it in that notion when I had surgery. It's not like I was like, oh, I'm going to like do this thing and help people for a living. Like that was not how I connected the dots at all. I had my surgery and, you know, this is such a great story is that I went into my surgery center. I got the date and they were like, it's like 2.5 weeks from now. You don't need to do a pre-op diet. I was like 270 some pounds, 5'5" in height. And they were like, your BMI is not that bad. Don't worry about it. And they sent me home, but I left and I drove to Taco Bell. And I was like, this doesn't make sense.
It doesn't feel right.
Like, what am I doing? You know? And then I ended up doing the pre-op diet anyways, you know? And I think that should be such a crucial part of people's journey because you need to break up with the food and not romanticize it, not have these little food funerals and put this shit on a pedestal that lands you in the same position, you know? So I'm really glad that I did it. And then I had my surgery and off to the races we went. And I just took this like notion of do everything opposite, contrary action, right? And I made a couple of pledges to myself, like no fast food, which I think blows people's minds because it's been 3 years now.
Yeah.
And I've not had McDonald's. I have not had Burger King. I've not had Taco Bell. I don't even know how Taco Bell's still in business without me.
Right. No, it's gross. I think I gave it fast food about at least 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Especially like coming from, you know, a different country and living in America, the food is so...
It's so different.
Quality of the food is so... Honestly, it's trash.
It is. Yeah. So I said those were the things, like that's where we're going to start. And then I ended up coming on TikTok in December of 2022. So my surgery was in April 2022. So I wasn't even at my goal weight quite yet. I just made a couple of little videos talking about bariatric surgery and food addiction. I know that's like a huge amount of people go on the platform and share their experiences. What I started to realize is that not many talk about being addicted to food. We all present this really pretty like post-op world of like our waters and our little foods and our little plates. And like, I'm like, wait, nobody's talking about like how we got here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And some people reached out to me. A couple of girls reached out to me in March of 2023 and just said, hey, do you think you could help me? And I'm like, me? I don't know. Like, how?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, you're doing it and I don't know what to do. And I just thought, okay, like, there's got to be other people out here helping people right after their surgery. And of course there are, but there isn't anybody who's just, once again, addressing the addictive nature of it. And it's so hard to take that information from someone who's not lived it, right? Like the reason I find that AA is so successful for me is because it was another woman who was there, right? And the bariatric journey is very niche in its own part. But then those who are willing to come to the table and say, I eat addictively, that's even a smaller little amount of people, you know?
Yeah, well, let's be honest, it's probably a huge amount of people.
It is.
Yeah,
I think, yes,
just to admit
statistically it is, but just say it.
Yeah,
because it's not as cute as the other addictions.
Exactly.
Right? There's no Oscar song or Oscar-nominated films or Grammy-nominated songs. There's no, like, cute little TV shows. Like, we might have, My 600-Pound Life? And that's a circus.
Yeah.
That doesn't even address a problem. Just showcases it.
Really,
solution.
Yes.
Right? So it's hard to identify to it. And majority of my clients are very normal women living normal lives where their life has not fallen apart like mine did in the first couple of minutes of my story. They never experienced that rock bottom because food addiction doesn't necessarily put you in a rock bottom like that. It does come at a different time and in a different way.
Yeah.
And that, you know, your health ends up being that rock bottom and sometimes it's beyond repair. You know, it just is like watching paint dry on the wall, how long it takes to get there.
Yep.
Right. So what we do is, you know, help people rewrite their life in the way that they approach all these scenarios that get us in trouble, which is like down to just like, how do you set boundaries with somebody? How does healthy you clean her kitchen at night so she can be successful tomorrow?
Yeah.
You know, you cannot just wait for the number on the scale to show up for that life to be created. That life's created as you journey to that number.
Yes.
Right. And the way to stay there is to have that life. Because if all of it was eating a little less and moving a little bit more, none of us would have been on an operating table.
Exactly. We wouldn't be there in the first place.
Yeah. No, not at all.
And it's like, it's consistency too. And I feel like a lot of people, they, you know, I think people want a quick fix or you know, they think it's magic. Something is like, they're not doing the magic thing. It's like, what's the magic thing? Well, when you tell them like the magic thing is consistency and discipline.
Yeah. They don't like it because it's not an easy solution. Like we've been sold so many easy things.
Yes.
You know, and we keep hoping that weight loss surgery is going to continue to allow us to do what we were doing before. One of the best tips that I give people, whether they're clients of mine or not, is that sometimes I have to remove chenille from the scenario. and that I just have a metabolism problem. Like, I don't metabolize certain foods correctly, twofold. One, inside, my body doesn't know what to do with that, and I gain weight. Or my blood pressure goes up, or my glucose goes up. The second part of it is that I obsess and I want to eat more, right? So it's like an allergy, which is the same way I was presented alcoholism.
Can I tell you, I've never heard anybody say that, but that's exactly like I used to say to people when I started this journey, I eliminated so many things. And the way I mentally compartmentalize it was I would just tell myself I'm allergic to that. Like literally, like I made that wall. Like can't have it. It wasn't even a temptation because in my brain, I was allergic.
Absolutely.
And that was like how I had to train myself. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think one of the other big problems is that they don't do a good job of explaining obesity when you get diagnosed with it, however you want to look. Like if you and I walk into the doctor's office and we find out we have cancer, we're going to be told exactly how it's working, what's happening inside our body, what the treatment plan looks like, the course schedule for that. We're going to be given resources, everything. You walk in and you get diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, you're given a prescription, metformin or insulin, and a one-sheeter and maybe a follow-up appointment with a nutritionist. But nobody explains what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's created this world where it's like, you can keep eating what you want, just take that shot or take that pill, or maybe switch one thing for another, but nobody wants to address the root of the problem. And I think it's because that is such a scary place. Like if a bariatric surgeon says to you, like, I'm going to do the surgery, but you have to completely change everything you eat. I don't know if people do it.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Yeah, it's true. And I think the thing with bariatric surgery is people think it is a quick fix and the easy way out. Now, look, no matter who you are, no matter what you do the first little while, it's going to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think why we see a lot of people, and you'll see this as well with your clientele, I'm regaining.
Yeah.
Or I never reached. And we do a lot of revisions at EOC.
Yeah.
People don't reach their goal weight. People start to regain. And it is because, the surgery will only carry you so far. But it's a tool. We say it all the time. It's a tool. You also have to put in the work. So, I think we just definitely need to bring more awareness to that. It's for life. Like I am going on 7 years post-op and it is still every single day. Like work out every day.
Right.
Watch what I eat every day. I'm still meal prep every day. I eat that. I'm like super, I like the same thing. I'm a routine. Like I like to eat the same thing every day because I'm a real fussy eater. And if I don't stick to that, then I'll just go off the rails.
Right.
I'm an all or nothing as well. So that's
well, that's how we all are. Everyone I work with is all or nothing kinds of people.
I'm an all or nothing, so I'd rather it be nothing. Just kind of stick to a routine. But, for me, since losing weight, and you can, I'm sure this is for you too. A lot of people are like, I've lost weight. I feel like this. I feel like that. For me, the most important things that I've become strong at is I'm more mentally disciplined and structure and routine. Like that is something I never had before.
Right.
And that's like, they're huge fundamentals, I think, for success.
They are. Yeah. And if I come back to the cancer element, like someone who gets diagnosed with stomach cancer will make those changes without a question of doubt. But somebody diagnosed with being obese is looking for a shortcut. Yeah. And I don't and that's where it's like it falls into this addiction pattern in my way, I ask people all the time, like, in our little world, we make people log their food, right? And, a lot of pushback about it usually, nobody wants to log their fucking food. Like, I don't want to do it. Nobody fucking wants to do it. Yeah. But, if you had to do that for cancer, would we have the same conversation? Right? Is it because obesity is not scary? Or is it because there's, this desire to do it despite the consequences, which is more on the addiction side of it?
Exactly.
And I find it mostly to be that,
Right.
But just a lack of education of your own disease. Because people will ask me how I got into this, like, oh, what made you like decide to do this or blah, 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 blah. And honestly, like I picked up a book one day. Like I picked up a book in like October or November of 2022 by a bariatric doctor out of Tucson, Dr. Weiner, a book called A Pound of Cure. And he just explained what was wrong, like what was going on in my body. Yeah. It was like the first time I was like, oh, that's it.
It makes sense how you can address it.
And then I was intrigued because most of us, we find out we have an illness. We want to learn everything about it, but not with this one.
Yeah.
You're so
right.
And then like that just really like educating myself about the disease I have has gotten me to this point. And that's what I feel like we do at the Rewrite too, is just educate people on, because once you understand, like maybe I shouldn't eat that because X, Y, and Z is going to happen. It's easier than just a nutritionist from across the table who was never overweight, who says you need to add more protein and more water, and that's to solve your problem.
Because I said so.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, why?
Mm-hmm.
Explain it to me, because I don't understand.
What is that going to do for me? How's that going to make me feel?
Exactly. Because I can tell you exactly how crumble cookies gonna make me feel.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've never had one.
Oh, well, you're not missing out.
Okay, good. I don't think so, but but I my guilty pleasure is like I do watch those reviews on them, and I'm like, no wonder. But I'm like, I already feel the sickness. I'm like, oh gosh, that's gonna be miserable.
Yeah, they're like 900 calories. They're like insane. But yeah, so I just find that people are just uneducated about their disease.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah, the more you know, you know.
And and that changes your life, and it ultimately changes how you want to take care of yourself.
Yes, I love that, and you've got to be really in tune with your body too.
Mm-hmm.
I think. So I have a sister, and she's not at all. Like I will go, oh, I feel bloated, or I can feel this happening, and she's like, how do you know? And I'm like, I know my body. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't know their bodies, but looping back to like the more you know, like we don't realize like a lot of people, and this is something I notice in our Facebook support group with our pre-op diet, a lot of people just aren't educated on nutrition. They don't know how to read a nutrition label.
No.
So many times it'll be like, oh, well, you need to eat XYZ on the pre-op diet. And we get photos of like, well, are these okay? It says there's got veggies in it, and it's like, they're just genuinely not educated.
No.
Because there is just not, I mean, it's out there for you to learn it, but there's nothing kind of like in your face telling you like, hey, so I feel like a lot of people just, growing up have just been so uneducated about nutrition.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of socioeconomics that go into obesity as well.
Yes.
Right. And so if you look at that, it makes sense. And there's food deserts, and, people always think it's expensive to eat clean. And we eat clean in our house, and we feed an army of children in that house too. We have 4 kids between the two of us. And we get
you're saying between the two of us. So can we introduce?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. Hello. We're talking to the mic. So we have. Hello. Who are you? Where are you from?
So my name's Daniel. I'm the other half of her.
The other half. And he's a Brit, you guys. Yeah, so we got a Brit in the house.
Brit and an Aussie.
I know. Trouble.
Does anybody mistake your accent for British?
All the time.
Because I always get mistaken for Australian.
Shut up. Yeah.
Every single time.
And I always get the opposite. I'm like, oh, you're from
I'm
the
glad
UK.
it happens both.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, we're derailing. We do that a lot here. That's But so I want to talk about how you guys met. But so you had your surgery. How much weight did you lose?
So I lost 120 pounds.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Amazing.
And I pretty much have kept it off this whole time. And I was in and out of a relationship before. I was with somebody that I was with before I got sober.
Okay.
And kind of dragged that relationship like a wounded dog through my sobriety and through my bariatric surgery. And then finally put it out to pasture. And then we met, not too long after that. Right. We met on Tinder, like classy.
Yeah,
people.
like we're classy people.
Yes,
yeah.
Of course.
Looking for deep, meaningful relationships on Tinder.
Next minute. She's engaged, you guys.
Yeah.
But so how was it like meeting Daniel in this chapter of your life? Because it's probably like the most mentally healthiest, physically healthiest. How was that different?
So dating after weight loss surgery is a fun subject, I had a little bit of experience doing it like a year prior to meeting him. And I just find for me, like I'm super upfront. And I think I
would never have picked that.
I'm going to shy away from it. But I mean, I cannot hide it because of what we do for a living.
Right.
So but I liked I'm open about the surgery and not drinking because I need to be accountable to my partner and I'm just sneaky lying little fox. So if I don't tell you, I will use it as an opportunity at some point, So he knew I didn't drink.
I had it on my profile with somebody sober as well because I'm sober too.
Yeah. Oh, congrats! How long have you been sober?
Almost exactly.
We're about
the
a
same
week
time.
apart.
About a week apart.
Nice.
Yeah. It's 17th of August. It'll be 4 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
August 28th from the last time I used Coke.
Let's get technical.
Yeah. So I told him right off the bat. Well, you knew what I did for work. You asked
so you were telling me I said, what do you do for work? And then you said you work with people with food addiction. I was like, what is that? Well, I don't know. I heard about that.
Yeah.
and then you said, well, we should probably get this out of the way. And she sent me her before and after pictures.
In your undies?
No. Well, it was not in my.
Well, the before picture was the one that you use on all your TikToks.
Yeah, it was like
where your belly's hanging out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you're like, I've got a winner here. You
look like the same person. You look a lot older on that.
Yes.
And then there was then it was just you. I don't think you were in your underwear.
No, I wasn't.
And then like that was it. Yeah, you sent it over, and I was like, that's really cool.
Did ya?
Yeah,
because it's it could go one or two ways, really, huh?
I mean, it's super. Like it. I find that super inspiring.
I love that.
The ability to be able to turn your life around from something so difficult. Like, I mean, I've never been obese, but I used to be a little chonker. I had, especially during COVID, I had my disco tits.
Yeah.
and like, I was really out of shape. But I don't know how tough it is to get into shape just from somebody who's just overweight.
Yeah.
But to go from being obese or even morbidly obese, I mean, the sheer stamina and strength of will and discipline that has to take is mind-blowing. And so I just wanted to know everything.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So
And that was the beginning of that. I was super open and honest. And a lot of that had to come back with like my 12-step work, on my approach in life.
Yeah.
And he wasn't actually, much into AA at the moment. No. He was sober. And then I think on our first date, we went, had sushi and went on a roller coaster. And I had to leave because I had to run an AA meeting.
Yeah.
And he followed me to the meeting.
Did you want to come to an AA meeting? And I went, sure. And you were like, really?
I was surprised. Most people don't.
Nothing else.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And so
it's
then
like two peas in a pod. You know that, right?
Absolutely.
Like, as soon as like when you connected where you're like, yeah, this is just 100%. Because I see you guys and I'm like, oh, this works. Like, I love that for you. I love her for
from
you.
the moment we met. And it was kind of weird. I was saying this to Shenelle like over the weekend because we had, a weekend away for your birthday. And it was from the moment I laid eyes on her, on Tinder, on the profile, it was just her personality just shone through the screen. It was like, I knew that I wanted to know her. She was the person I wanted to be with. And I'd never met with her. Yeah. And then when we actually met in person, it was
solidified.
It was, it was, when you know, when it's right.
I love that.
It works, right?
Because look, let's be honest, we live in a pretty pretentious town.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
It was the worst.
So there's many women and men that look appealing.
Yes.
And then they're boring. You know what I mean? They have no personality. They're just like, you're like, oh, God, it's draining. And so like, that's
just fall
refreshing.
into the whole Vegas aesthetic.
The Vegas, exactly.
Where, like Vegas isn't real. Nothing about Vegas is real. No. Nothing. As long as you understand that Vegas is an incredible place to live. But so many people think it's real and they bring that personality to relationships. And I've been in several of those, unfortunately, and it's just very difficult. And so, I guess one of the things with Shenelle is the authenticity, right? You can't, you
can't fake that.
Yeah, there's no other version of Shenelle that you get to see. The one you see on TikTok, the one you see on podcasts, the one you see in personal life, she's the same person. And I was like so refreshed by that.
Yeah, I love that.
And I couldn't believe that she was into me. So that was
winner, you guys. Right? I love that. And then so I heard that you had surgery in Mexico for your mummy makeover.
Yes, I did.
And it was not long. I seen on TikTok or one of your TikToks, it was not long after you guys met. You were like, hey, you want to be my companion? Like, how cool is that?
That's exactly what happened. I was like, I
think we'd known each other.
I told him really quickly that I was doing it.
Yeah.
Because like, I know that the other, like, I know guys, and I know that that's, question. It's like when you lose that amount of weight, there's like questions that come with it, right? And I'm like, so I'm going to be doing this. And it was a big deal. And I was like, do you want to come? And gosh, my first surgery is in September and we met in the middle of April. And so he came with me down there. And I think he was like super like on the fence, like, you're going to Mexico. I mean, so was my primary care doctor, you know? And I was like, yeah, dude, I've done my homework. I'm not really too concerned. Like,
you're a smart woman.
I'm like, I used to do, fucking coke off strangers' dicks. Like, this is the least of my concerns right now, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And, I tell people that I don't think I would have had those surgeries because now I've had 2. I've had the mommy makeover and then I had a facelift.
You just had your facelift.
Just had it
like how far?
8 weeks ago.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And I'm like, I would not do it in the United States. Like
I
just went to mostly the women that I have watched do those surgeries here, specifically let's talk about the tummy tuck, is they're just sent home the same day.
Same day.
And on medication, like on a lot of medication.
Yep.
And I did not want that part of the journey. And I loved the recovery aspect of it down there.
Yep.
Someone's like literally there to wipe your ass, you know? Like, and
it's not me.
Fantastic. Yeah, I had a really great experience. And, I think Tijuana is fun. And
I think it's so underrated.
Oh, absolutely. Like I could, I'm having my arms done in May.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah. And
that's been my favorite surgery.
Was your favorite surgery? Like the recovery was easy? Or?
No, it was actually, for me, it was my hardest recovery because I had a complication, but just like the most liberating for me ever in my life showed my arms. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think that the recovery for them is, once again, you have to have someone there for you. And like having a team down in Mexico, like I stayed at Zen Recovery, and they were amazing.
Yeah, they're angels. These post-op recovery nurses, because with EOC, we have our own nurses and you go to the hotel. And honestly, these nurses are angels.
They are.
They really are. They see us in our most, vulnerable moments. And to them, it's like, it's nothing. You're just like your family. Like, they'll wash you. They, dress you. They massage you. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're an angel.
I know. That wouldn't have happened here. It'd be like some disgruntled woman.
Right.
And you picked up overtime.
Right. Exactly. You don't feel like an inconvenience at all. You literally feel like a family member. And you don't feel uncomfortable because we are in a very uncomfortable position.
Exactly.
And they just make you feel so comfortable. And it's like, so rewarding.
I agree.
It's so refreshing. I love them.
Walking in and like they're brushing your hair.
Yeah.
Like making you feel good.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I like hands down wouldn't have done it anywhere else. But it is a big fun chapter to get to.
Yeah, it is. It's such a good reward.
It is.
It makes all that hard work really worth it. But also, in saying that, plastics is not an easy journey either on its own. Like that's also another pretty
I feel like I tried to downplay it a little bit on my social media because I remember the drive. Well, this is my fault. We should have flown home from that surgery, and I chose to drive like a fool and learned real quickly how much of that sucked, Did
you swell up like a balloon?
Yeah, and I was uncomfortable, and there was no comfortable position, and nothing was relieving that.
That's what I say about plastic surgery. People are like, oh gosh, it must be so painful. I'm like, it's just uncomfortable.
That's it.
And you get aggravated because you're just so uncomfortable. You just can't get comfortable. And I feel like that's all it is.
And it's temporary.
Yes.
And every day gets a little bit better.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're like, oh shit. For me, I was up walking. I was in heels 3 weeks afterwards.
Yes, I remember seeing
that.
And
I thought, oh, well, that's 3 weeks of my life wasn't so shabby.
Right. Yeah. But I think you just have to have your eyes on the prize and just look at the end goal rather than, for me, I block out everything that's happening as it's happening. During plastics and recovery, I'm just like end goal, and you just always have to keep your eye on the prize.
Yeah.
And you have to keep a positive mindset throughout these surgeries because I see so many women and men, it's like an emotional roller coaster and they're like, what did I do? And I'm so sad and I'm swollen and I'm this and now I look boxy. And it's like, you're healing. Give yourself time, have patience, have grace, and, just go through, you have to just go through the process. I think a lot of people can be a little bit impatient.
Oh,
the healing process. And then that's when openings can happen. And did you have any complications?
0.
Yep. You followed the rules.
I followed the rules, and I also think it's important to have a good diet.
Yeah, 100%.
Going into this thing and afterwards,
after, 1,000,000%.
And it blew my mind at Zen Recovery, our first time down there, and I was the only bariatric one, which was different than the last time. There was a handful of bariatric people the second time. The first time down there, I was really the only bariatric one that we socialized with. And I couldn't believe how many people were ordering in pizza and Domino's and stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, did you just have a mommy makeover or
I'm just like, that sodium, you're going to swell even worse.
I know.
And you need protein. You need to build back up.
Yeah. What are you doing?
And all that. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
But I think that need to be instantly gratified.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
people, I'm sure you guys even have seen people have the surgery, the bariatric surgery, and immediately do something that makes absolutely no sense.
Or they'll they were like, when can I have ice cream?
Never.
2 weeks post-op. Look, not to judge you guys, but if you want to be successful, you really do have to follow the guidelines. And we, like the surgeons, the facility, we set you up for success. You just follow it like it's foolproof. Really, if you follow and people go, where am I going wrong? And sometimes you got to say, be honest with yourself. You know, log your food. Like, and then when I tell people, oh, well, this is what I do, they're like, yeah, see, I snack a bit too much. I'm like, well, there it is. Like, so you know what you're doing. You just got to be accountable.
Yeah.
Hold yourself accountable.
Right.
If you want to succeed, you know, and I feel like it depends on how bad you want it. How bad you need it. Like, you needed it. You know what I mean? You're like, you did hit rock bottom. You're like, I'm changing my life. Yeah. And you did the work. Like, you did the mental work. You did the research. You gained the knowledge of like how to change your life. And I think, you know, some people just want it more than others, you know, and that's not, it's if you don't want it as much as the next person, that's also, it's not a bad thing, each to their own.
Right.
But some people are more disciplined. Some people are more strict. Some people have to be. Yeah. You know, it's a be all or end all for some people.
I think a lot of it comes down to how much you love yourself.
Yeah.
Right. I think if you ask me to give you like some character traits of people I work with, it's all the same, but people pleasing is a huge one. Like, everybody else gets shuffled to the top of the line. And I'm like, well, are they really getting shuffled to the top of the line, or does the addiction have an opportunity right here? Like, one of the classic examples is like the kids want to go to McDonald's. So I took them to McDonald's, and then I realized, well, I'm not going to have any time to eat. So I had to eat there. And I'm just like, dude, the series of events. First off, why are your kids going to McDonald's? You had to have weight loss surgery. Like, check what's going on at home. You know, you're putting yourself into that position. You know, that's not normal thinking. That's like the addict. Because I could have, I would do the same thing with my drinking. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to go out and drink tonight, but I'm going to go to that bar. And like, what do you think is going to happen?
Exactly.
You
I'm
know,
go with my friends.
It's all
right there.
Yeah. And if you're not in enough pain, you won't change.
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah. And sometimes people aren't in enough pain.
I agree.
And if you surround yourself with a lot of people who will greenlight your behavior, you'll never feel pain.
Yeah. That's true.
Know?
That's true.
It's all about being. I mean, I think there's the surgery. I think that the insurances think it's a quick fix, and will often like, yeah, here, go ahead and do it and do it and do it. You know, but the turnaround to come back is fascinating in the long terms. You know, like I was listening, there's this woman, her name's Dr. Vera Tarman. She's a food addiction specialist up in Canada. And she had a podcast a few weeks ago with a bariatric researcher. And he was saying that, like, you know, to be honest, like, it's really hard to say how successful they are, like, in general, because the follow-up on patients is questionable. That, like, when you look at the 5-year marker, like, a typical office is really only reporting on people who came back in because of regain, right? And that we don't really know how successful people are in the long scheme of things on this, you know? I thought that was really interesting because a lot of people come to me around the 18-month marker, and that's when all the lights are back on, man. And all them little tiny things that they've been watching and following on social media and, like, you know, living on fucking candy bars that have protein in them. Just, you know, all of it adds up. And then all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, why is this thing not working anymore? And why am I feeling, you know, the urge to eat all these things? And, well, I mean, everybody says that, but you always want to think it's not going to happen to you.
Right.
You know?
I've seen you get a little bit of backlash on social media.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, like actually quite a lot. You know, because you have these big influencers that are sponsored by these brands, you know, and people just follow them. Like, oh, well, they're saying it's, you know, great. And let's be honest, they taste good. Like, you know, it's just candy. It's another candy bar, but just because it says protein on it, it must be great. And then people realize, well, why am I not losing? Why am I regaining? And it's like, oh, they say, I'm just still so hungry. I'm like, because you're not fueling your body. You're like, you have to. That's what I say to people. I'm like, don't have that candy bar. Don't, like that protein bar, that you don't need the shake. Like you don't. If you want to reach protein goals, go have more protein, like real protein. I always say, like, even if you can't meal prep, keep a rotisserie chicken on hand. And when you want to go grab that protein bar, go have some. Have barbecue chook. Do you guys say barbecue chook?
No, we don't. What's barbecue chook?
Shut up. You guys don't call chicken chooks?
No.
We say, okay,
we speak English.
Oh, here we go. The battle. Oh, I totally thought
Chucks,
Brits would say chooks.
No.
Like chickens are chooks.
No.
Oh, okay.
Chicken.
Sorry.
No.
And rotisserie, like a rotisserie chicken is barbecue chook.
Chooks actually sounds better.
It does, doesn't it? I
It does. It sounds
more exotic.
Barbecue chook.
But no, I definitely like I have a lot to say about the influencer part of bariatric surgery because, our surgeons do the surgery. That's what they're there for. They're not there to change your lifestyle. So people run to social media to look for that.
Yeah.
Right. And then mostly what's presented to you is another diet.
100%.
That's all that's presented. That if I make my coffee like this in the morning and I have this as my sweet treat, and it's because nobody understands the goddamn disease that they have. That's it. Like they just think that it's a lower calorie issue and higher protein. And it's just like you look at the history of dieting, and I don't think you and I are too far off in age, so I'm sure we remember the 90s were all low fat. And then keto was the biggest thing, and now everything has protein. Like it's just a phase.
Yeah.
Yep. And when I love educating people about how they're just being conned, like Premier Protein, owned by the same people who make Fruity Pebbles. You know what I mean? They get to be the drug dealer and the rehab center for
There's
you.
a freaking Fruity Pebbles protein shake.
Yeah.
I don't know what brand it is, but like people are like, this tastes just like Fruity Pebbles. And
I
I'm
know.
like, and you think it's good for you. Like
it shouldn't be like, that's not a natural tasting thing.
Yeah.
Like when you don't have those things in your diet, like watermelon's so fascinating. Like watermelon is so sweet and delicious when you don't have a diet full of artificial sweeteners and sugar.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, this is what it's supposed to taste like,
Right. Yeah.
And so I just think that there's such an ability to make money online like that.
Yeah.
And so that people are going to do it. I mean, it's so easy to do it. And I don't knock people for wanting to make an income.
Yeah. No.
But at the same time, like, if you're going to influence, understand you're going to influence. Understand that, like, if you're going to present that this is what you consume, how often do you actually consume it? Because sometimes it's presented like this is an all-day event.
Yeah,
from
right.
morning to night, you're putting this and that and this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
Is that really what you're doing?
Yeah.
And now being on social media for a few years, I'm seeing people who came out at the same time that I did, who did have an opinion about me, who have now reversed and are now like, oh, I'm gaining weight and I have to go on the shot. Not to think, like, could it possibly be the products that are being sent to me for free to promote? Could that possibly be it?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just an education thing. And it's like, you can't knock them if they don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're always going to have opinion because, I mean, I know what I'm saying is unpopular.
Right.
But like usually in the backlot of history, usually the popular opinion tends to be the wrong one, Like if it was so easy that I could just continue to have, remove cake, have cakes with protein and remove the fucking bun from shit. Like I wish that was the case.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been the case for me.
Yeah.
And so I just have to I take it from that perspective of it's a disease.
Yep.
And I'm treating a disease. It's not whether I deserve it or it's a reward.
I
have a disease.
Yep.
I got to treat it.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And that just makes it a much easier place to exist. And then I don't feel guilty.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm restricting myself, because that's a lot of things people are, you restricting yourself.
No.
And I'm like, no, there's actually probably more foods out there for me to consume today than there are foods that I don't eat.
Yeah.
There's more variety that I never thought to entertain. And I'm in school for functional nutrition right now, which has just opened up a whole nother level of how many people I work with who still have blood pressure, cholesterol issues, inflammation issues, and they're on those products.
Yep.
And you take them out and then boom.
Yep.
A lot of those things subside.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to the diet.
100%.
All of it.
Yep. 100%. Oh,
yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. So if people want to find you, how do they find you?
Yeah. So TikTok, it's coach_Shenelle. Instagram, the Bariatric Rewrite, and Facebook, Shenelle Coplien, until it changes to green.
So let's talk about that. When's that happening? We'll wind it up. But what you guys getting married when?
Yeah,
December 6th at the Liberace Mansion.
Of course, it's the Liberace.
Of course.
Can you guess who chose that?
I reckon it was a 50-50, to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah. I see that. So I see that tracksuit.
What
do you think about that? Yeah. That was his. I gifted him that tracksuit for the helping me out on my surgery.
Oh, that's so nice. I love it. Yeah. Good job. The Liberace Mansion.
Yes.
Very cool.
I was super looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be amazing. I got married in because Vegas is like it's hard. You want to do you don't want to do the Vegas wedding thing.
Right.
And you don't want to do just like the typical just go to like a banquet
Country
hall.
club.
Like, no. I was
it's hard to find in the middle here in Vegas.
Exactly. And I was like, I want like, Princess Regal. I want to get married in a castle. But I worked at Excalibur at the Thunder from Down Under. And I was like, that's the only castle I know of in Vegas. I am not getting married at Excalibur. But I found this residential mansion. And it was called the Parisian Palace.
Oh.
And it was, oh my gosh, it was like amazing. 20 bedrooms. And
Here
it looked,
in town?
Yes. It looked like a castle just off Jones and freaking like kind of around Trop and Jones. Like I lived around there at the time and I was like, there's no way this is like 5 minutes from my house. You go down like a little back street and there's this freaking palace, like gold roofs and so Baroque. Every ceiling was like hand painted, like the Sistine Chapel. Like it was crazy.
So
everything was like gold. Then they had like a like a dance floor and a disco and a bowling lane. And I think like all the rappers, like they would come out here and do film clips in there, like music videos. But and so we did the same thing. I got married in something like that.
That's very cool.
It is really cool. And then we had like guests stay over for the night. We did like a 3-day thing. And,
that's nice.
And it was fun.
Yeah.
So
we're not allowed to sleep over the night.
You're not.
No, we can't stay.
Boo.
I did ask if we could because they've still got his bedroom and his bed there, which is very small.
His bed's
very
small.
little bed.
Well, he was little, wasn't he?
He's a very little man.
Yeah.
Tiny little man. Yeah,
wow.
It's a cool house. Definitely. They did a good job restoring.
Where is it?
It's over by UNLV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's definitely unique. I'll give it that one.
Nice.
You know. But yeah, it was fun finding venues. We looked at a handful of them, but that was really the only one that I was like,
you need something unique. You can't just do the norm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
No,
well, I'm so excited. I can't wait to see all the photos.
So right now, Facebook, Shenelle Coplien. I mean, and just the girl with the purple hair. You know, I think you can just go to TikTok and type in purple
I think
hair.
you can. I think you can because I was because I was scrolling and you know how like they give you that suggested and I think it was around the time something must have happened online. You caused a stir. And,
I did,
and then another influencer must have like gone. But it was just and I think the search bar was the girl with the purple hair and I was like, I know who that is. I clicked and I was like, yes.
She had said that I was the most toxic thing in the bariatric community.
Do you know what that post was as well?
What was it?
It was literally all this was Shenelle going, you can have this protein shake or this protein bar, and like basically doing a comparison. Like this is a plate of real.
Oh
food.
yeah, I seen that video.
It was that. It was that where she's calling out all the artificial ingredients.
Yeah.
And it caused such a stir. There was so much hatred
Isn't
because it was like nobody wanted to see the truth.
They don't want to see the truth. Yeah.
Like, how dare you tell me?
How do you say that about my protein shake?
I know.
Their beloved protein shake.
And it's funny, right? How there's so many people out there that would trust the person with the brand deals, right?
Yeah,
over the person that has never.
I've never taken one.
That won't do a brand.
I won't do them either.
No.
Yeah.
No,
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. That's how it's an influencer. That's
but like, listen, in their like my defense though, I'm like, do it. Talk about me, and you got a much bigger platform than I do.
Yeah, is there any driving traffic to you?
Oh, it always does. I mean, we are. I don't think people realize how busy we are. We have 3 other coaches. It's not just me anymore.
Good for you.
We just got into the American Association or American
Society of Metabolic.
American Society. Yeah, I say it wrong. The American Society of Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery Association. We just got into that, which is a huge ordeal. We had to get a referral from a bariatric doctor to get in there. And that just doesn't
hiring salespeople right now.
Yeah, like we're huge.
I love it.
We're busy.
I love that.
Well,
you've earned it and you deserve it, and you're like you were doing the honest work.
For sure.
People. So I appreciate. I love everything you do. I love all your videos, and thank you for being on here. And
thank you for having me.
You guys learned something new from Shenelle today. So cheers, and then congrats on your engagement, your wedding. Happy birthday, and we'll see you next time on Bariatrics and Beyond.